Okay, everybody, this is section 2. It's finding the surface area of prisms and cylinders. Okay, so a prism is going to be a three-dimensional figure, typically made out of triangles and rectangles, or it could be a cube made out of squares. A cylinder is going to be like a can of soup. It's going to have two circles, area of the circles on the top and the bottom, and then the area around it. And if remember from section 1, if you took a label off of a can of soup, you kind of sliced it down its length and then unpeeled it and laid it flat, you'd actually get a rectangle. So that's really what a cylinder is made out of, at least its surface area. Okay, we've got a bunch of definitions here. One of them is missing in your notes. It's bases. It's the second one. So what I'm going to do is just pull all of these out and have them up there, and then once you hit pause, and you can write them in and be able to get those going. Okay, here we go. So prism, bases, height of prisms, surface area, and an important one, the lateral area. Okay, so let's write those down. Okay. For a both of these are polyhedrons. They have congruent faces. The bases are the repeating shapes. So if you look at this rectangular prism here, it's got repeating bases or shapes, and you could use any one of them. Like what it sits on typically is what I call the base. So it's got a second base that's exactly the same. I could flop this down on its side, and now, you know, this one becomes the base and the top becomes the base. It really doesn't matter. What kind of matters is this next one over here. The triangle is the repeating base, okay? So we gotta, when you see a triangular figure, whatever it might be, you gotta make sure that you use the triangle as the basis. The height is the line segment that connects the two. So I would use, you know, all three of these lines right here should be the same. They become the height, okay? If I came back over here, if I did with my first one, this is the base here with this second base. The line that's connecting them is that, so that becomes your height. So you just gotta use that those definitions of what they are, okay? The surface area is just adding up all the area of the faces, but we have formulas that kind of do a lot of that stuff for us, okay? And that's kind of the same thing for the lateral area, all right? We're going to go ahead down to this first example. Find the surface area of a right rectangular prism, so just a rectangular prism with a height of 8 inches, a length of 3 inches, and a width of 5. So it says to draw it. So I'm going to draw it using kind of what it told me. I'm going to make it exactly like what it told me, by the way. Okay. So one of my first years teaching geometry, I'm not a very good artist, you guys know that. I had a student show me how to draw rectangular prisms, and I'll just do it really fast over here to tell you guys. He taught me draw a rectangle, right in the middle, draw a second one that's pretty identical, and then connect the corners. Okay, so that's how I learned. You know, mine aren't very good now, but you should have seen them back then. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and label this up. The height was 8, the width was 3, and the width was 5. I'm sorry, and the length was 3. So we're going to go ahead and do that. All right. Back here up in there should have been a box in your notes, and it looks like it's disappeared. Hopefully you guys have it. It's not up here, but it's probably in your notes. To find the surface area of a rectangular prism is going to be 2 times the area of the base plus the perimeter of the base times the vertical height. Okay. So what we're going to need to do is, one, we have to find the area of the base. So the base, remember, is kind of what it sits on. This is the base. So that's a rectangular base. To find the area is the length times the width. So 5 times 3 gives me 15. Okay. Perimeter is going to be the perimeter of that same base. So if this was 3, then this is 3. If this was 5, then this is 5. Find the perimeter, add up all the sides. I get a perimeter of 16. Okay. So you got to have this formula down. Capital B stands for the area of the base. Capital P stands for the perimeter of the same base. And H now is going to stand for the vertical height. And they gave it to us as 8. So we're going to go ahead and plug all this stuff in. So 2 times the area of the base, that's really, in this case, the top and the bottom. The base was 15. The perimeter was 16. And the height is 8. Okay. So go ahead and multiply and add this all together. Sorry. And because they did give us units, it'll be inches squared. Okay. So a lot of times stuff is drawn for you. You could draw it. It just doesn't have to be perfect. Just need to label it. And then you got some stuff you got to go find. You don't have to do all this stuff that I did off to the side. Just kind of using the formula to show you what it is in this case. You could kind of go straight to the formula and start plugging stuff in. You could probably do this stuff in your head. But I'm just showing you because later on it does get a little bit more tedious, especially when it's a circular, like a cylinder or spheres and stuff. You got a lot more to get these areas and circumferences and bases and perimeters. Okay. All right. So going here, they do give you the formula here. I kind of skipped that. I mean, I didn't skip it. I used it instead of doing it a different way in the last problem. Okay, so now I got the formula. I'm assuming this is going to be the base. So the length times the width. So the base is going to be 5 times 10 is 50. If this is 5 over here, this is 5 over there. If that's 10, then this is 10. So I need the perimeter. And the perimeter is going to be 30, adding up all the sides. And then the height is the line that connects the 2 bases, okay? So that's going to be my height. Now I got everything I need. So my surface area is going to be 2 times the area of the base plus the perimeter of the base times the vertical height, okay? I'll let you guys do that math. You know, when I say that, you could always just hit pause and do it, then bring it back up. And they did give me units again. It was in inches again, so I'm going inches squared, okay? Okay, you're gonna hate me here. All right, this is a triangular prism, and the triangle is the base. Okay, so I'm gonna do this to it because to get the area of a triangle, I need the base times the height divided by 2. And if you guys will notice, these 3 sides are all the same. So that means all the angles are the same. So when I get that, I get my 30, 60, 90 triangle thing comes back. Okay, we're going to have to use that stuff again. All right, didn't learn it to forget it. This angle up here ends up being 30. This is 60. So this side down here, that 7 got cut in half. It's 3.5. I need the long leg to get the height. So 3.5 times the square root of 3. Okay. I'm going to do some rounding here in this particular problem. So for my triangle, to get the area of my triangle is going to be the base times the height divided by 2. Okay. What I did was I took the 3.5 times the square root of 3 and I multiplied that out. I got something around 6.1. I multiplied it to 7 and I got about 42.7 divided by 2. And that area for the triangle is going to be 21.4, and that I rounded that. Okay, so that's the area of my base. The perimeter of my base is going to be 7 plus 7 plus 7, so that's 21. So the surface area equals 2 times the area of the base, which was 21.4, plus the perimeter of the base was 21. And now the height is this 5 that connects the two bases. Okay, so times 5. All right. So a complicated problem there. Understanding how to be able to do those, you had to get the height of that base, and so it ended up being a regular triangle, which ends up, I had to use 30, 60, 90 to get the height. Okay. So multiply all that out, and I get about 147.8, and they did give me units. It was meters squared. Okay. All right, and there was an easier, if a lot of guys are really smart and you understand, hey, there's a shortcut I could have made here. Way back up here, when I got this and I divided it by 2, I got the area of the triangle. But then I had to go take it and plug it back into this formula. Well, now I'm multiplying it by 2. So I could have eliminated that step between here and here. Okay. But a lot of us probably didn't understand this formula very well yet. So to take that shortcut might not have been as obvious to a lot of you. Okay. And I want to make sure I'm using the formula and using the steps. But, that's a shortcut I knew I could make earlier. Okay. Okay. You have an extra problem here. You could just find some room to do this. Okay. You're going to need to find the surface area of this cube, and a cube's pretty easy to do. The base is going to be this 4 times 4. That's going to be 16. And the perimeter is going to be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. That's also going to be 16. That doesn't happen very often. My height is also going to be this 4, okay? So I'll let you guys go do this problem. If you want to hit pause, and then I'll put the problem up on the board. Okay, so taking all that, the area was 4 times 4. It gave me the 16. The perimeter was adding up all 4 sides. That also gives me 16. The height of this prism was 4. So 2 times 16 is 32. 16 times 4 is 64. Add those together, you get 96 meters squared. Okay. Okay. Here we go. We're going to find the surface area of a right cylinder. And right just means its height is vertical, okay? So a cylinder is a solid with congruent circular bases that lie in parallel planes. So basically means the sides are parallel to each other, okay? Sometimes we can get these that are kind of slanted, but we don't really deal with those, okay? So we got a formula that's very similar to what we used in the last one, except C stands for circumference, which we've done before. And circumference is the perimeter of the circle, and we are of the base, and last formula we used P for perimeter. So they're the same thing, except in this case, the base is a circle. So remember, to get the area of a circle is pi r squared. And C is the circumference of that same base. So remember, we use 2 pi r, or you could use diameter times pi. They're the same thing. But we're going to have to use these two now to get these figures, okay? So taking those into account, we're going to have to do a little bit of work here. You need to find the surface area of the right cylinder. Well, I need the base. So the base is going to be pi r squared. So, and I am going to change pi. I'll talk about this in a second. So pi, radius was 3 squared. And I can do my math. 3 squared is 9. Remember, you're only squaring the 3, not the whole thing. So 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3.14 is going to get me about 28.3. I rounded that. And since I'm over here, I'm just going to do the circumference also. So circumference is going to be 2 times pi times the radius, which was 3 again. So I multiply all that out, and I get about 18.8. And that's also rounded, okay? So now I got my pieces for this. So the surface area is going to be 2 times the area of the base, so that was 28.3. And I'll stop for a second. Why are we doing with 2? Well, because it's got a top and it's got a bottom, okay? So that's, you have to multiply both of those to get surface area, because I'm getting everything on the outside. Plus the circumference of the cylinder times the height, and the height was the line that connects the two bases, okay? So using those definitions. Then I'm going to let you guys go ahead and multiply all this up and add it. So if you want to hit pause, you can do that. Okay, so multiplying those two pieces up and then adding them together, and I'm rounding everything to the 10th, and they gave us units as feet, so feet squared. Okay. Okay, this is a pretty good problem. This would show up on a test, and we want to. You're taking what the formula is and you plug everything in there where it's supposed to go when you do it, okay? So the surface area of a perimeter is this, or I'm sorry, a cylinder is that. Well, let's take what they gave me. They told me the surface area is 592.19, and I'm going to round it to 2, okay? Because I'm rounding everything else up. I'm going to do that, right? The area of the base. Now, they didn't give me the area of the base, but I know I can find it because they gave me the radius, and I know that the base is pi r squared, and I know what pi is, so let's go ahead and plug that stuff in. Plus the circumference times the height. Well, they didn't give me the circumference, but once again, circumference is 2 pi r, or diameter times pi. So I could do that. I know pi is 3.14. They gave me a radius again, but they did not give me the height. Okay, so there you go. All I got to do is find h. So I'm going to multiply some stuff up. I'm going to subtract some stuff, and then I have to divide by what's in front of the h, which is whatever that multiplies up to. Okay. So I'll let you guys, if you want to hit pause, you can go do the math, and we'll get going. Okay, so did some of the math. I got 265.3. Once again, I rounded that. I subtracted it from both sides, and over here I had 40.8 times h. I also rounded that. This last step right here, I went ahead and divided both sides by 40.8, and I got 8.01, blah, 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 so I just rounded it to 8, okay? In example number 5, on your notes, we did not give you guys the height, so if you want to go ahead and write that in. Now, I'm going to have you guys do this on your own. You're going to find the area of the cylinder, but they want the surface area of it, and basically this black part right here is a hole that got drilled all the way through it. Okay, so what I have to do is find the surface area of the cylinder first, and then go ahead and find the area of this circle and times it by 2, because there's 2 of them, and subtract it, and that will get you the surface area. So hopefully that makes sense. And each segment up here is 1. So really the diameter of this circle is 3. The diameter of the little circle is 1. Okay, so you need radiuses, but that should help you a little bit, okay? So once you hit pause and try this one. Okay, sorry, I wasn't looking at my notes very good and copied the wrong thing down the wrong spot. Okay, so there you go. One little clue here. I did diameter instead of 2 times the radius. Okay, so it should have been 1.5, but then I would have multiplied it by 2. So I just skipped it or did it a different way. I found the surface area for the cylinder to be this. Over here, I found the area of this hole or circle at the top. And since there was 2 of them, I had to multiply it by 2. And I got a surface area of those 2 circles as being 1.6. So I had to go back and subtract it. And this is the surface area for the whole thing now, without the 2 holes. Okay? All right, so hopefully did a good job there. 2 formulas are very similar. Just want to make sure we use that accordingly. Okay? Thanks.